Pathfinder, we spoke to Dr. Harman. And in that journey, we saw that we were talking about someone who was very experienced, like years of experience, who didn't really plan for this from the beginning of, like, from her young days, right? It's something that happened in the course of her life. And she found inspiration where she is. She decided to bloom where she's planted, or rather go somewhere else and then bloom again, and showed years of experience. And here today we have Dr. Subhiksha. I'll let her introduce herself, but someone who's not, who comes from the other end of the spectrum, who has a master's, who is experienced, but not as experienced as Dr. Harman, but always knew what she wanted to do. Always, I mean, we know that she's always been focused, driven, and had her own path, chalked out before we even met her. And that is the one thing. So last time I remember from the Pathfinder, our takeaway was honesty and integrity from Dr. Harman. And this time for me, since I know Subhiksha, my takeaway already is that whoever helps you with your application and whatever you do, you need to know your own journey, and you need to be at the wheel of your own application. That has to be your primary goal. And with Subhiksha, we know that she's done that. And through this webinar, I'm hoping that we learn more about it. So Subhiksha, over to you. A little bit of an introduction about yourself and your journey, so that our participants know what kind of questions they can ask you and how they can relate with you.
Yeah, like Flynn said, thank you so much for the beautiful intro, Flynn. Thank you so much. Like Flynn said, yes, I'm a fresh grad. When I was in third year of dental school back in India, I knew what I was going to do. I knew I was going to apply for DDS, and I started doing my research very, very early. And I finished my dental school and I moved to the US with an F1 visa. And I got accepted into a master's in public health program. So the first year of my master's program, I did my master's program. I gave my national boards and then my TOEFL. So basically all the initial requirements you need for, application I was doing that the first year. And then I also applied for the first cycle, that is my 25-26 CAAPID cycle. I would call that a trial run. And I would tell everybody that you really, really need that trial run, because first time when you're putting out an application, it's extremely overwhelming. I jumped into my first cycle with no expectations, because I knew that I was still pursuing a degree and I didn't have much of a chance. And also I was very, very fresh relatively to other applicants. And but that cycle gave me a lot of information, how I can expect my second cycle to be, what kind of application pool each school is getting, what kind of applicants are out there, how rigorous it is, how robust it is. It gave me a feel of how I should build my profile the next year. So I will not call my first, I did get invites, but unfortunately I didn't get accepted. I got waitlisted, but it was a very, very enlightening experience. I got to know a lot about the cycle. And and then the second year when I was in my master's, I tried to build my profile as much as I can in all various ways possible, by volunteering, by shadowing, by assisting, by doing different types of volunteering, by attending conferences, CE courses. As a student, I'm telling you, in the United States, you have a lot of things out there, a lot of opportunities. You have a lot of discounts. You can get into conferences without paying the registration fees. So we need to leverage that. So that's what I did. I leveraged my status as a student and also my master's program, where I could kind of connect dentistry into what I was learning, like into public health, and do my thesis and do my research papers and do my whatever quizzes, activities, everything. So I use that as a base to kind of expand my profile, and eventually applied for the second cycle and took a lot of help, because I realized I needed help. Taking help is actually the best thing I did. I took help for my statement of purpose from Caapid Simplified, and they did an amazing job. I took help. I put out my applications by end of March. I think I was done with all my applications. By around first week of April, I was done with my supplemental. Mid of April, I got my invite from NYU. June, I did their candidate day, and July, I got accepted. So I was one of the earliest to get accepted in NYU. I think they sent out 10 acceptances 2 weeks into their candidate day, and I was one of the candidate. So that was my journey. And later on, I had a lot of interviews which rolled in, but I was happy with what I had. So I just went with it. But I did attend their interviews just to get the feel of other schools and how the other schools are working. But there was nothing to lose. I already had something in hand. So I went with all my guns loaded. That's it. That's about me. That was my journey.
Thanks, Subhiksha.
Mhm.
That was so nice to just hear it out again. Um, One thing that caught my attention is how you said the second cycle you um, built your profile for the second cycle and went more prepared. Now, you mentioned a few things like conference and all of
Mhm.
that, but if we can
Mhm.
dissect that further, because like I think Dr. Z was asking earlier,
Mhm.
what everyone has, like what everyone wonders is, what do I do? There's so much to do, right? Opportunities are not very rare. It's a little not accessible for people who are on different visa status sometimes, but there are opportunities. But how did you choose what to do and which path to go while bridging the gap between your first and second cycle, if that's something you can talk about?
Yeah, I really want to talk about this very thorough because when you look at everybody's resume, it's pretty much the same, right? Yeah. So what you can do different, what I did different is hard work is very important, but I feel you have to be smarter. Hard work plus smart work, and build your profile in a very strategic way. That's one thing I would tell everybody out there. So what I did, so I started shadowing, and I didn't just stick with one doctor. I shadowed multiple doctors, and I also dental assisted, and I dental assisted in multiple dental clinics just to get the get the feel of how every other dental office works. You learn different things from different offices. You learn different things from different doctors, and if you're going to shadow and assist in various clinics, you're going to network more as well, right? So that's what I did, shadowing, assisting, which everybody does. And then I um I started volunteering, and I would split my volunteering into two. That is dental and non-dental. For dental volunteering, I volunteered with Colgate. They have a Bright Smile, Bright Future van which goes around the areas of New York and New Jersey to educate and to give care for underdeserved communities, basically kids. So that was one thing I did, and another thing I did was I did volunteering with a non-profit organization in a hospice care where it was directed towards geriatric patients. So with Colgate, I did with pediatrics, and with the hospice, I did geriatric, and I also um, volunteered with American Red Cross, which was adults, regular adults. So, and I also volunteered here and there in multiple places in the temple over here. All that is like additional, but dental, I did community service, dental related with Colgate, and I did community service, just regular community service with hospice care and with Red Cross. So this way you're covering dental and non-dental community service. So strategically look out for opportunities where you can do dental volunteering, dental community service, and non-dental volunteering and non-dental community service. And that's what I did. And obviously I went to a lot of conferences, and conferences are a great place where you can do CE courses with no cost. So CE courses are very, very expensive outside. Like it would cost you like probably $1,000 or $700, $800. But in conferences, they are given to you in a very cheap rate. I would attend conferences, and I made sure that I did at least one hands-on in every conference. Even though the conferences were spread out across the nation, the United States, try and make it to them, because you make a lot of connections. And another thing I did was network, talk, like attend webinars like this, attend seminars like this. That way you learn the journey of other people and how they improve their profile. And don't hesitate to call if you've gained a contact. So for example, somebody who knows me is talking to me, I'm going to give them a lot of insights, right? So don't be shy. If you have a contact in your hand, call them, talk to them, text them on WhatsApp or text them on iMessage saying that, hey, I'm an aspirant, I want to talk to you about it, would you spare a few minutes? So that way I spoke to a lot of people, they gave me a lot of connections, and I put out emails to a lot of researchers in a lot of schools, just for that one opportunity where I could put out a research paper, and I found one. In Tufts, I found one. But yeah, just communicate, put yourself out there. There are opportunities there. You just have to be outgoing and open up and talk to people. And that's what I did. So be very strategic with what you're doing. I know a lot of people do one thing for a very, very long time, but try to do different things and be strategic and try to do different variety of things, so that nobody comes and asks you, hey, you've not done this, hey, you've not done that. That was my mindset. I didn't want anybody to come and tell me, hey, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. I did as much as I could to build my profile in a way that whoever saw my resume felt I was all-rounded person. So yeah.
You mentioned doing different experiences for for different periods of time. So I wanted to, I had a follow-up question on that about letters of recommendation. So when you went for these experiences, did you go to different clinics to shadow and assist at different periods of time, or was it all together? And from where did you get your letter of recommendation? And did that time duration affect the letter, basically?
Yes, I didn't do multiple things at a time. I would assist a doctor for 2 months, and then I would go to another, and then I would go to another. But through the time, I did have certain people who I worked or shadowed for a longer period of time. So those were the people, those were the doctors who I reached out to, because they also saw potential in me, and I also connected with them in a very personal level. So I picked doctors like that who I had a good connection with, and I reached out to them and I asked them for letters of recommendation. So yeah, that's how I got my letters of recommendation.
Okay, awesome.
And you
So
need
I like
one
that.
letter of recommendation from one US dentist. So even if you have that one person who you are very who you are very connected with, who sees a genuine talent in you, you just need that one person to give you a genuine letter of recommendation. And I think if you are like extremely passionate about what you're doing, and if you're very genuine about what you're doing, they will see it in you and they will definitely help you.
Yeah, being genuine and being yourself is also a strategy, even though, strategy doesn't have to be a bad thing, right?
Yes.
So that is I think, the best strategy in this game. And one example to what Subhiksha said about you have to be strategic in your application is, I think, what she said about pediatric and geriatric care. So she went for these experiences, and having that on your CV is good, but also bringing that the right jargon, right, pediatric or geriatric, or what, as a dentist, how that really helps you into your statement or into your letters or into your supplementals really makes a difference. That's what makes a difference between you and another person who has everything on their CV. Because the people reading your application, they're reading like some 3,000 odd applications. But how do you qualitatively bring that experience into it and tell them that I learned this, which will help me at NYU or wherever? So I think that I love that you use the terms pediatric and geriatric, even though one was hospice and not dental. But the fact is, you're working with them and you know how to be with these patients, right? That really helps.
And
Amazing.
thing I would like to add is I've noticed in this cycle that couple of schools want letters of recommendation from non-profit organizations. Tufts University and Indiana University, when I applied to them, they wanted letters of recommendation from non-profit organizations. So I made sure one of the hospice care that I volunteered for was a non-profit organization. So it worked out for me. So that's what I mean by, having variety of um, volunteering experiences or shadowing experiences, because you never know what schools will come up with. You never it's like that was the first, I think this was the first year they asked for it. And it so happened that I volunteered for them, and they were very kind enough. I volunteered for them with them for almost 6-7 months, and it was just once a week thing. I had just had to go be a companion for an old lady who was compromised. That's it. So they were happy, I was happy, and I was also was able to get a letter of recommendation from them.
That's nice. And for these schools, like especially Indiana, I think Tufts, it was a more recent addition. Indiana always had it. And it really, there are people who also apply to there with like a letter of fewer days. But the thing is, whatever you have to your advantage helps. So if you have a letter, like she said, then that obviously increases your probability. So might as well gather everything. And even for all of you who haven't prepared as much, if you feel like, see, not every, I just want to add that in, that not everyone functions the same way, right? Like someone like Subhiksha had everything chalked out ahead. Now, this is not to intimidate you and make you feel like I didn't do that for the last 2 years, so I cannot do this. That's not the point of this. The point of this is, even if you have another 2-3 months, you still can gain inspiration from this and plan the next 2-3 months and then utilize it in your application. So let that be the your takeaway from this session. Coming back to MPH, Subhiksha, a lot of people do MPH, but even despite that, even though it's not a very new thing for people to do, there's still fear. When I speak to applicants, when they call to ask doubts, they quite often ask, how do I connect my MPH? And this is one thing they ask, of course. And a lot of them are worried that if they do MPH, they will not get admissions. So after you being someone who's done this and gotten through to the other side, how would you address these questions to the applicants who are doing MPH or any other masters in that field?
So I did MPH. It definitely helped me because, like I said, I leveraged the course. Wherever I could, I brought in dentistry and kind of integrated it into MPH. My thesis was an integration of dentistry and master public health. The final papers of a lot of subjects also had dentistry in them. So, and also it was, this is one thing I noticed when I went to interview at the University of Michigan. All of them over there, all of the candidates who were called for interview, at least as far as I noticed, they were all double degree holders. So when I was thinking about it, I realized that when you are entering into a program like DDS, where you have to do a lot of patient management, they want people who have navigated the education system in the US and also had proper time in the US to kind of get into or get used to the cultural difference of this country. So because when a person from India or when a person from a different country is just who's directly put into a program and said, hey, you need to talk to a person who's an American, and you need to make him understand what you're going to do, how you're going to treat him, it becomes difficult, right? Because the way they speak over here is different, the jargon is different, the accent is different, everything is different. So culturally, you're just like bombarded. It's just like how you have, like, if in Tamil Nadu, they speak Tamil a certain way in Chennai, a certain way in Coimbatore, a certain way in Tirunelveli. It's just like that. We all speak English, but when you speak in different parts of the world, it is different. So for you to connect with the patient in a personal level, or to give them reassurance as a doctor, you need to have that practice. And I think schools also look into that because they want their patients to be cared for, right? So so don't worry, MPH, I know I kind of deviated from the topic. Yes, MPH, you can leverage that course in multiple ways, and you can always connect that course in very, very creative ways. One way I connected that course was I did my MPH in New York City, and New York City is like extremely diverse and extremely, there are a lot of underdeserved communities. So through that course, I said I was able to understand how uh, people living in the US are from very underdeserved communities, and I connected it with my experience in my undergrad school, like in my BDA, where I did my BDAs, where I did my dentistry with GDC, where also it was a government college, and I was dealing with a lot of underdeserved community as well. So I connected my MPH. I told them, hey, I worked there. I wanted to gain more knowledge as to how people are here in the US so that I gain more knowledge about it. And when I treat patients, I care for all communities equally by connecting with them in a deeper level. So that's how I connected it. So and some people even connect it with research. Some people connect it with various other things, but it's how you come up with, you kind of uh kind of come up with a connection with your personal story and talk to the school. So that's what I would suggest.
MS, you had something to add on. You raised your virtual hand. Yeah, you can unmute.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Correct. And additionally, like she said about establishing connects, there was also one constant theme in all of Subhiksha's experiences, the way she positioned it in her statements as well. Preventive health, right from her UG days to her
Yes.
MPH to her the kind of people she cared for, especially pediatric population. So there was that prevention, early care. That was a common thread. So finding that thread was also strategic, I think.
Yeah. See,
That's it.
she I forgot. She knew it. I got lost in my train of thoughts and I completely forgot about preventive health. Yes, that was one thing. That was my statement of purpose is kind of, what do you call it, Meenakshi, the hook?
The common thread or the connect,
Yes, the
the theme
connect.
around which everything, yeah.
Yes, I
But
worked.
it was
So
also genuine. So
mhm,
that's why it did come through.
yeah.
Though
So
it,
when I was
yeah.
in college, like I said, a person would come into the clinics and would be like, my tooth is hurting, extract it. And why did he go up to the face of extraction? Because he didn't have knowledge or he didn't have access to oral health. And if I could have, you know, intervened much earlier, I could have prevented that extraction, and I could have given him a filling, or I could have done a root canal, and I could have saved the tooth. So that's how I connected it. So that was my train of thoughts.
Um, I like how this conversation is going because I think this is what being strategic means. And that is going to be the common thread of this webinar, or hook, as you guys are saying. Leveraging, I think Subhiksha said that, leveraging whatever you have for your application is basically what strategy means. I remember once I was talking to someone and I use this word and they sort of got offended, thinking that my intention was that they should fabricate something. That's not what strategy means at all. It just means using whatever experience you have and telling your story in your own way. And like MS said, if you say it genuinely, it will actually come through. There's something we always tell our applicants when they come for interview coaching as well, that when the question's asked to you, or it can be in the written application or in the interview, Don't think of what they want to hear and then backtrack. Don't do that. Always think of what you actually want to genuinely say, right? What is your actual answer to that? And then polish it for them to probably understand it better. So never go the other way. And, like, we have been here for 5 years and we know that it doesn't work. So imagine those people have been here for years together, reviewing so many applications. Pretense will come through. So, like she said, being genuine and understanding your common thread is what will get through. We'll come to a few questions, but before that, I think we have live questions here. Dr. Revati, you have raised your hand again, so you can unmute and ask your question to Subhiksha.
Yeah, hi Subhiksha. First of all, congratulations on your acceptance.
Thank you. Hi, Revati.
Yeah, hi. So, my question is, when we draft a statement of purpose, do you think that we have to keep it? I know we have to keep it genuine, but do you think like adding more of a creativity or attention-seeking words, or is it okay to make it as genuine and simple as possible? Like I see a lot of people putting it in chat gpt or something like that, and they make it more attractive, but I feel like I want to make it more genuine, and I want to make it on my own words,
Mhm.
even though it's not like very much attractive, but that's my real personal and academic experiences that I want to include in SOP. So what do you think works? What is the best way?
You 100% have to be genuine and very honest. That is a no-brainer. Okay. But what I'm, it is not wrong for you to kind of, make it a little attractive, because schools are getting thousands and 2000s of applications. Okay. So if your SOP has to stand out, then you have to do what you have to do for it. So that's where the strategic comes out. You have to be genuine of your intentions, but I don't think it's wrong to to make it, or like to fabricate it in a way that it's interesting.
Okay.
So it's not at all wrong. Um, you're just being smart. That's it. You can be simple. You can be genuine and simple, but will it stand out
Mm-hmm.
among so many applications they're getting? It has to be interesting, right? So that's where it boils down to.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Revati, just to add on to that, like Subhiksha said, so we have seen personal statements that are very creative get into school. And I'm not talking about the ones that we have helped write alone. A lot of people come for review as well, right? So we've seen different kinds of statements come through. Some of them are extremely creative. Some of them are very simple as well, like Subhiksha was mentioning. But the key there is, even if it's a simple thing, you have to find your own way of making it interesting. I know it's a very subjective thing to say. You'll probably think like, how will I do that? But that's where some bit of brainstorming with someone will help, or find your own mentor or like a friend with whom you can write. And ChatGPT can help you there if you want to. Don't help ChatGPT. I mean, don't make the like AI write your statement, but you can brainstorm with the software. So use it smartly if you want to write it yourself. But I people have gone from, I remember the most creative PS I've seen is what is it, MS? Characters of Disney movie, I think. Like some person relating their story to different characters in the Disney movies. Something maybe I would never do for my statement because it doesn't relate to me. But if it relates to you and you can like sell it off, then great, right? But if you prefer a more stoic statement, great. But something should hook their attention, like Subhiksha said. So yeah, and it's a very, very sad and raw fact and truth that they're reading too many applications. So you do want them to, either your story has to have
Interesting.
a hook, or your writing should, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
don't worry about it, but definitely worth sitting and finding the best way to do it. Absolutely, if you want to save time. Dr. Z, back with the question. You can unmute and
Hi again. So my question is, actually, I recently came across a random video on YouTube in which somebody was sharing because that that there is something that a lot of people don't do, and that is they should email the admission team, ask them questions, or visit the campus. Which, and when you guys will do that, it's gonna bring you under attention, and it's gonna increase your chances. And I was like, I can't go and visit campuses because I don't live in US right now. And also I felt like that I have the information what I needed to know about school, so why unnecessarily I should email the admission team. So is it something that people do, or is it beneficial?
I mean, people do it. Even I've got that advice a lot.
Okay.
But at this point of time, I mean, if you're going to do campus visits, it's good for yourself. So you know how the school is, you get the feel of the school, how the campus is, how the professors are, and how welcoming everybody is. You get the feel of the school. It's good for yourself. But if you're going to go and meet them or the school with the sole purpose of, hey, they have to notice me, I don't think that works, because US is very straightforward and they have a very systematic approach. It's not like if they get the attention of you, they're gonna call you for an interview. They see your profile, they see your resume, they see everything, and then if they think you're a good fit, they're gonna call you for an interview. So you can definitely, it's a good thing to go to schools, to go and talk to professors or go to the admissions department and talk to them for networking purposes. For networking purposes, to gain more connections, to gain more knowledge, to see how the school is. I think it works that way, but if it's the sole purpose of them recognizing you as an applicant, I don't think so, because they are, like I said, US is very straightforward.
Okay. Okay, perfect. That's good to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Z. Dr. Fatima, you can go ahead next.
Hi, Subhiksha.
Hi.
First of all, congratulations on your admit,
Thank you.
and thank you for taking I can assume that it must be pretty hectic for you right now, but you took time to host this meeting. Thank you for that. I want to just go back for for the topic that we discussed a little earlier. That was about shadowing. So one thing was that I was wondering how many hours of cumulative shadowing hours would you think would make someone a strong candidate, as well as you also mentioned that it would be better to broaden your circle and go shadow or assist at multiple clinics. So at each clinics, how many hours would you recommend would be best?
It totally depends on how much time you have in your hand. The more you do, the better. Because schools don't have a cutoff as to you have to do so much. But think about the competition you're having. You're gonna be a co-applicant with an oral surgeon, with an endodontist, with a prosthodontist. You never know. Like, I was a fresh grad competing against surgeons, endodontists, prosthodontists who had so much experience, right? So I would say the more you do, the better. And when you shadow, try shadowing in different clinics. Try shadowing in specialty clinics. Try shadowing a general dentist. Next, go to an orthodontist. Then try shadowing in an endodontic clinic. In US, in an endodontic clinic, you will observe them doing microscopic endodontics, which I never had exposure to. Right? So so do as much as you can. It totally depends on how much time you have in hand. The more you do, the better.
Okay, thank you.
So someone like yourself who's prepared so much and who had an idea in mind, I'm not sure if this question really is relevant to you, but I'd still ask, if there's one thing that you would go back and change about how you did your application, a mistake that you would probably not commit if you're applying again, what would that be?
Not taking help.
In your first cycle. Okay.
Yes, in my first cycle, I realized I needed help. A lot of people told me, don't take help, be genuine, put out what you want to put out, don't let anybody come interfere or change your story. But no, if you need help, you need help. If you are a doctor, if you do dentistry best, there are other people out there who do other things best. If you want to, if you want your profile to stand out, you need to take help. I would recommend that to anybody who asks me. That's one thing. And the second thing is, don't be too hard on yourself. It'll happen. It'll happen. That's one thing. I was very, very hard on myself. I was very hard on myself. It worked out, but I was burnt out at the end of it, to a point where when I got one acceptance, I was like, I'm done. So I did enjoy my 2 years in the US. I did a lot of traveling. I had a lot of friends. I had a good social life. I had extended family. I had my fair share of fun. But with all, I did everything with this one CAAPID running in my back of my head. So don't be too hard on yourself. It'll happen. Just keep trying. Do your hard work, do your smart work, hard work plus smart work, and just put it out there. Sometimes I believe in the fact that right time, right place, right things will happen. If it's not meant for you in a certain time, it's probably meant for you later in time. So it's like that. So that's what I learned through this process. So yeah.
And coincidentally, both the points that Subhiksha mentioned are also like complementary to each other, because if you take help, you also do not get that burnt out because
Yes.
you are delegating some time. And help can mean anything, right? Help can, like she mentioned, it can be like Caapid Simplified, but it can also be a friend in whose advice you trust, or it can be a dentist. But someone you trust is important, right? Like, don't go to 100 people who can give you 100 different opinions. Go to those 3 or 4 people that you can resonate with. So even especially for interview, a lot of times when people call and say they want to come for coaching, but they don't have either the finances or time, I tell them, just go and sit with the mirror first and speak into the mirror and understand. And also, sometimes a person who can be a mirror for you can be your partner, your spouse, your friend, stranger, whatever. So help can mean different things, and definitely do not burn out. I love that you traveled, Subhiksha, that you had a social life. I hope that all of you as well have parts of that, or whatever fun means to you, because it's so important to not burn out. And looking at this as a long-term experience, even though it's heartbreaking, but this journey might take you 2 years at least. Even if you make it in the first cycle, it will take you a year and a half to know whether you made it. It could, because there's the first set of schools, and there's Colorado, then the invitations should come out. Subhiksha got in one of the schools that send out early invitations, and she was one of the first few people. But most, like, often than not, you don't hear back by July. You're still wondering what to do. So these are kings in the system which aren't great, but it's just what it is for now.
Yeah. Just to add on to that,
Yes,
I
please.
got after I got my invite from NYU, I didn't get an invite for a very, very long time. I was stressing. I was like, I don't have an option B. I don't have like a plan B. It was only around July, after I got accepted, invitations started rolling in. So yeah. So just wait.
Yeah.
Everything will
That's
happen
scary.
at the right time.
I mean, if NYU did not happen, then that would have been scary.
Yes.
By the time that you're thinking that
Yeah.
no one's going to call you. Yeah.
Yeah. It was still scary, because what if NYU didn't accept me? I didn't
Precisely.
have any other option left. This happened to me in first cycle. I didn't want the same thing to happen to me in the second cycle. So it was one thing which was running in my head. But yeah.
True. Okay. So we have a question about bench prep. I think you spoke about your statement, so let's move on to the bench prep bit. Dr. PC is asking whether you can give some insights about bench prep. Did you go for coaching? How was it for you?
Definitely go for coaching. I didn't go for coaching. What I did was I got a mounting pole and I saw a lot of videos and I prepped it by myself. In one of the clinics I was dental assisting at. So that's how I did, and that's how I prepped for University of Michigan's bench prep. But if you have the opportunity or if you have the finances and budget to go attend a bench prep course, do it. It's very good because it'll, if you, especially if you are a person who have not touched the handpiece for a very, very long time, I would definitely 100% recommend that, because when you're entering the program, it just hits you so hard. So if you are in practice, it'll be much easier. Obviously, that helps for your bench as well, and it also helps when you enter the program as well. So if you have the opportunity to go do a bench prep course, do it.
Dr. PC, you have a follow-up question? You can unmute and go ahead.
First of all, heartiest congratulations.
Thank you.
So, I was just looking at the bench prep materials, and it is a bit confusing, like which typhodonts to go with, and like which materials we should first buy just to start with the preparation at home.
There are a lot of materials. Like for example, the typhoid tooth is different for each school. Some schools use or Columbia, some schools use ACDENT, so it's pretty different. I think people suggest you to do preps in different teeth because you can perform better in the bench test, of course, because each brand has a different composition, and definitely cutting a tooth, a dummy tooth, is more difficult than the natural tooth. What I did was I was part of a lot of WhatsApp groups. I think there are a lot of groups on WhatsApp where you will find a lot of people sharing a list of materials that you would need, the list of instruments that you would need, which school uses which material, which school uses what exercises they ask, and what they look into it. Because there are people who have been doing this cycle for like 5-6 years. So they will all be part of that WhatsApp group, and it's very resourceful. So I would suggest you to be a part of WhatsApp groups. You'll find a lot of WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, and even a lot of Telegram groups. Yeah, Telegram groups. They're very resourceful. So you will find a list of instruments, and there are a lot of people who are selling their bench prep also. Like people who have got accepted into the program and they don't need their bench preps set up anymore, they sell it. So you can just buy it from them. So you can do these things actually.
Okay, thank you.
One of the good things about these groups, the positive things, is definitely this. You get
this is the only positive. Otherwise, they just like
it gets a little overwhelming. Otherwise, with this, name a WhatsApp group, Dr. Lakshmi. I think it's pretty how you get access to these from the Facebook groups, right? Usually, so these
from
WhatsApp
Facebook groups or like from friends of friends, like that. Like I think there's one group called CAAPID 25-26. There's a
every
CAAPID.
cycle usually has one.
I think that group is like completely full. I don't think they're taking any more candidates because they're 1,000+. And there's another CAAPID support group. And there's another real CAAPID group. These are the groups I'm a part of. So these are the groups I know.
If there's any group that people can join through a link, and if you can pass that on, after the call, we can email it to you all if that helps.
Yes.
And otherwise,
I can probably like send a link in the chat if I can.
Great.
I'll check. But we'll do it and when we are ending or something.
Yeah. And otherwise, like she said, check the Facebook groups. And every
Yeah.
time there's an invitation that goes out also, there'll be a group for that particular school, usually
Mhm.
that the people who've gotten invited make. So,
Mhm.
all right.
Yeah.
Meenakshi has shared a blog link here, which is from our blog resources. It's about bench test preps. It's written by Karthik and Nourah. So we'll have some resources in that. There are names of places where courses are done, the list of instruments, all of that you guys are asking about. So you can take a look at that. Moving on, Subhiksha, Dr. Nitya has a question about the letters of recommendation requirements for NYU. So the NYU asks for three letters, right? One is from your school dean, and then two they say they want from dental school faculties. So for her question is, for NYU specifically, do all three letters need to be from my dental school in my home country? Is the question. I think they want to know whether they can use a US letter, even
Uh-huh.
though NYU doesn't ask. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I was applying, that was a confusion too. But when I emailed them about this, they were very clear. They were very flexible about it. You can have the traditional combination of one dean, one dental faculty from your school from your home country, and one dental practitioner in the US or Canada or wherever. I mean, in the US or Canada. So they are pretty flexible with that. So that's for NYU. I don't know about other schools. For NYU, when I emailed them, they said this. But the other schools are, I think there are some schools who are very strict about, who they want. So yeah.
Yeah, usually having a US dentist letter is like an improvement over the combination. So if you have a US or Canadian dentist letter, then it's mostly accepted by everyone. But it's always, yes, safer to email them and check if there's any, change compared to their combination, just to be on the safe side. You can use any advantage that you have, right? That. Dr. Isha asks, is it true that I can apply only to 14 schools on B1, B2 visa? Uh,
Um, B1, B2, please. I think every school changes the requirements every year. Go into the school's website and see if they accept B1, B2. If they do, they will. If they don't, they don't. So yeah, they change every year. So you have to go into each school and you kind of have to see if they accept B1 and B2. It's a very tricky visa to work around with, especially now. So yeah, that's the sad thing about that. But I know a lot of people who have gotten in with B1, B2. But yeah,
yes,
just
a lot of people get in through B1, B2. Um, this cycle, so every cycle it could change, especially this year with visa rules just like changing around. I think which school is that, MS? That is UPenn, right? Yeah, Pennsylvania is now
Yeah, it's pen.
mentioned on their website that they only take students with citizenship or green card. So, especially this year, actually every year, but especially this year, please take a look at all the websites and make sure that nothing's changed. But don't worry about it. B1, B2, definitely a lot of people get through. Last time's Pathfinder, also the applicant, Dr. Harman, had a visitor's visa. Okay, so we have
NYU is
another.
one of the schools who take B1, B2.
Sorry, come
NYU,
again.
NYU is one of the schools who take a lot of
Ha.
candidates in B1,
Yes.
B2.
Yes, Colorado, a lot of these schools do, so you can definitely apply. The remaining 10 minutes or so that we have, I think we can probably talk about the school-specific experiences. Subhiksha, you have interviewed at NYU, at Michigan. So whatever you can share about the bench and the interview, how the experience was, how did you prep for it? How can they prep for it proactively, like preventive care? How can they proactively prep for their interviews? Is something that we can talk about now.
Yeah, so NYU first they have a Kira. They ask you a lot of behavioral and situational based questions in Kira. That is the first step of your interview. I think anybody who apply, not I think, I know anybody who puts out an application to NYU also has to do a Kira. So for Kira, practice, 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 practice. Because you get only 2 minutes and 30 seconds of prep time. You will not know what questions they're asking. Just practice your timings, because you want to start, be impactful, and end properly. So sit, like how Flynn said, just sit across a mirror and talk to yourself, or talk to your dog, or talk to your stuffed toy. That's what I did. Or talk in the shower, which also I did. So just practice. That's one thing. Kira is all about practice. Go into Reddit, go to Kira itself, and ask what are the potential questions that you can expect from the particular schools. Uh, Call if you know people in NYU, or if you know people in a particular school, call them and ask them what kind of questions they ask, what they look out for look out in a candidate, so that you can prep yourself accordingly by connecting your story. Then as the candidate day, NYU Candidate Day is very warm. They're very welcoming. It's a whole day thing. They make you feel comfortable. They're so sweet. And then you have the main part of the candidate day is a group interview, where everybody sits together and there's a professor and there is a um, current advanced standing or a current regular student who is there. And then you have like, they ask you questions, and each of you who are a part of that group have an opportunity to speak. So just be genuine, connect whatever questions they ask you, connect your story to NYU, and give an impactful reply. And be short, be crisp. Just because they're asking you a question, don't take like 5-10 minutes to talk about yourself, because it's a group interview, right? So everybody needs to speak. And observe the group, observe the responses you're getting, observe the reactions you're getting, and improvise on your answers, or improvise on your, when you have an opportunity, improvising your answers accordingly. You will know if somebody is getting bored, you know they will getting bored, so change it, flip it. So that's a good thing about a group interview, because you get different reactions. When you get different reactions, you know how you can change your answer and make it more interesting. So that's how NYU group interview was. And other than that, they took us around the school. They showed us the different departments, and then we had a chance to talk to the current advanced standing students, and they gave us lunch. And yeah, this was how the candidate day was.
Awesome. Anything about okay, MS, you have a follow-up on that?
It's more like an anecdote, especially regarding Subhiksha. So I'm just going to take 1 minute. We've often heard people saying that right from the moment you walk into the school till you walk out, you're not judged, but you're observed. And I remember Subhiksha not freaking out again, planning even her outfit to the T. Should I wear pastel colors? Should I wear something bolder? I think everything adds on to the impression. These are again things that maybe it's not fair, but it's still something you have to give a thought about. What you wear, how you carry yourself, whom you're talking to, who's the company that you keep. Are you only sticking to people you know? This was exactly what Subhiksha told us after the interview as well. Am I talking to everybody? Am I gelling well with everybody? Am I being too loud? Am I being accommodating? These are all small things, nitty gritties that we should be conscious of.
Yeah. It's more about your presence and your charm. Like, you can only pretend so much. You can only pretend for like an hour or two to be like the perfect person. After that, that's what they observe. That's what they look out for in NYU, at least, because they have a whole day itinerary for you and everybody's going to be around you. So just be yourself. And yeah, I remember Meenakshi saying, just smile. Just be, don't think about it too much. If you think about it too much, you can, like, people see that stress on your face, and that's not very pleasant to carry around. Okay, just, I remember I had a short conversation with her before I went, and she gave me such beautiful advice, and I think it all worked out. I also called her and asked her what should I wear.
You
Right.
want to leave a presence that they will remember, that they know that they'll want around for the next 2 years, basically, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry, 1 minute. I'm just having this.
that's okay. So you mentioned about NYU. Anything about
Yes.
Michigan that you can share or you
Uh,
would like to share?
yeah, 1 minute. Yeah, Michigan. Why is my
Yeah, take your
camera?
time. No problem.
Michigan was also a very, very chill school. Uh, they know they are the best school. They know it. So they are like, hey, we have this, we have that. Um, we are not very tech savvy. We are not very forward, but it's more how you put yourself out there and you see your patients and how you build your network. They were very, very sweet, very genuine, very warm school. I really liked the director. He was like a very down to earth person. He just said, hey, we have this, we have that, and this is all we have for you, and everything is for you, and make use of this as much as you can. And we love everybody, we want to take everybody, but sorry, we have only 20 seats. So yeah, that's how it was. 1 second, I don't know why my camera is not working.
It's okay. If you want to leave the call and then come back, that's fine as well.
Yeah, I'll probably do that.
Yeah. We're almost at the end of our time. Does anyone else have any questions? And y'all can type and ask or unmute and ask. Would love to see more faces if that's an option. Thank you, Dr. Z and Fatimit. And I think someone else also came on camera, Manali, Dr. Manali, for giving us company. Meanwhile, how many of you are applying this, have applied before, rather? All first-time applicants? Wow. Okay. Don't let the overload of information like scare you. If it's your first time, just take all of it that like relates to you and then
Can you guys
discard the
see me?
rest or just keep it as peripheral. Yes, we can
Yeah.
see you.
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. We were talking about Michigan, so I think even they were just being very no pretense, like
Yes.
how we should also be telling you what they have and asking you to make use of it. That's nice. So these are the two schools that you heard from, right?
Yeah, and then I heard from UCSF and also Loma Linda, but I
Mhm.
didn't go for that interview because I preferred the East Coast, so I just wanted to stick with the East Coast.
Right. How was if we can just like digress for a second, um, how did you tackle the Loma Linda supplementals? Because that's again something that people often get really riled up about because the faith
Mhm.
aspect comes in. So how did it freak you out or did you just like how did you tackle it?
To be very honest, Loma Linda was my backup school. Um, it was I applied to Loma Linda because it had a lot of seats, like around 30, 35 to 34 to 35 seats. It was one of my backup schools. I didn't worry much about Loma Linda. I don't even remember how I tackled my supplemental, but it was a lot. I do remember them asking me about a lot of spiritual things, but this year I think they had less of it. Yeah.
They only had one.
So it didn't rile me up as much.
They cut down like
So yeah.
7 or 8 questions into, I think, one, right? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
question did come up in our form, so which is why I brought this up. So if whoever asked the question is here, um, it is very, I mean, it's a very obvious response to think whether, you'll make it to the school if your faith is not the same as theirs and all that. But it's not like that. In the past, a lot of people, we have personally seen a lot of people get through who doesn't share the same faith, But what we have seen is people who are ready to talk about their experiences with spirituality as openly as possible. And even I remember in the questions about alcohol and drugs, which they had before, the ones who do consume alcohol, for example, would be worried, thinking, should I mention it, should I not? But I think even the ones who did mention very candidly as to how they partook in it and how what their approach to it was, or their insight was, they still did get in. So again, finding that balance of how to what you really are and presenting it in a polished manner or strategically is what's important. So I hope that clears up the question. We'll take the last question for today. I think Dr. Parvati has asked, do you think I should make any changes to my statement for the next cycle if I got interviews this time? Subhiksha.
Sorry.
If they got interviews this time, should they still, but they didn't get and admit, do they still change their statement for the next cycle?
Yes. Yes. If you have not gotten accepted, I would suggest make your changes. You've definitely done more stuff, right, in a year. So add those things into your personal statement. Try to make it more interesting. Try to make it in a way it stands out. So yes, do your changes. Don't change your story. Don't change your genuinity. Don't change it completely. Add on to it. Try to modify it. Make it interesting. Add on your experiences that you have gained over the year. So yes, make your changes. I changed my SOP.
Yes, for sure. They need to see what that 1 year has,
Yes.
has changed for you.
Yes.
Last question. I'm sorry, but this is the last one. When is the best time to prepare for a bench test? Is what Dr. Bhavya is asking.
All the time, anytime. Okay. Keep preparing. Keep yourself. Anytime you get. There's no time frame. The more you practice, the more you prepare, the better you perform. So just if you have access, if you have your own home setup, I had my own home setup, and just keep practicing whenever you have time. You cannot practice every day, right? Everybody has their life happening at side by side. So whenever you have time, keep practicing. If you've got a bench test invite from a particular school, then start preparing towards that school, because they will know, because you will know what exercises they're going to give you. So start preparing for those exercises. But other than that, generally, whenever you have time, keep your hands very active with the handpiece.
Dr. Bhavya, on your follow-up question, what she means to say is, I think also depends on each person, right? If you feel like you will not be able to manage your applications and the bench prep, you finish your applications by whatever, March, April, and then get started. And like Subhiksha said, keep being consistent. So a lot of people, one thing that I've heard a lot from people is that they go for these courses, either School Buffalo, etc., or Stevenson's. But then once they get back, and they're happy with the course, but when they get back, they get caught up with life or application. They do not practice. So then they really feel like that course didn't help them enough because they did not practice. So consistency is important. Keep practicing until the end of when you get your bench. So that should help. With this, I think we can come to the end of this webinar of this Pathfinder. Subhiksha, thank you so much for coming and sharing your anecdotes and your experience, your motivation to everyone. And while you were trying to get back with the camera on, we learned that most of them here are first-time applicants. So I think all the more reason for them to they'll be knowing the nitty-gritties and nuances of how the application works, right from the mind space of someone who's been there, done that. So thank you so much for that privilege, and good luck for NYU.
Thank you so much.
Excited.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope I helped a lot of you here. I hope I gave some new, fresh perspective. I think that is the motive over here. This is my story. This is my journey. It'll happen. Don't worry, keep trying. It is a very tedious process. It tests your patience, but it'll happen. Just trust the process and enjoy the journey. That's it.